So the modified proposal, though, is that we don't take on the headache of trying to staff too much, but that we ask the folks at Reframe if we could put down some very simple literature. The suggestion was a business card. I would also suggest our buttons, you know, very, very simple, because we don't actually have an agreed upon statement of any sort. We probably shouldn't release anything, is the other reality there. So the modified proposal, if I could get a temperature check, is that we participate in Reframe in the way of having some basic contact information on a table during that event that a lot of politicized people will go through. So I see a lot of agreement. I also see some lukewarm, and I maybe even saw a not so cool with. Can anybody who's not okay with or in agreement with this proposal want to share what?
Well, I just have one little very small thing to say, which is that I feel as though we have already, we're really quite well formed. We're not totally formed, we're evolving, but I think we have enough awareness and even literature about Occupy that we could make a reasonably solid presentation there at Reframe. That's all.
I'd like to see, maybe, I don't have a problem with people putting any kind of loosely related information out on that table as well as contact stuff.
We want to inspire people.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great opportunity to inspire people.
Okay, Annie and Miles.
I just thought to respond to your idea, perhaps compromise would be also for people who are have a button or going to a festival to just wear their button proudly and try to engage, and that would be another way to share and have business cards if possible or something to pass out so that people can know how to get in touch with us.
Miles?
Okay, we're still developing what we call, like what I call our platform, but I think that it might be a good place to say, hey, we're Occupy Peterborough, this is what we've kind of come to consensus on. We're working on this stuff, we want to call out people to join us, and if there's something that you know a lot about and you're really passionate about and you think it's a really good issue, like we could really get behind it. Come out to a meeting, right? Like, we have come to consensus on this, but we want public participation, and you know, we're here engaging people to do so. We can have that either in just big printed posters, right? That says like, this is what we've done, this is what we want to do. Join us to help us do this, right? We don't even need a person there to say it, but it would be nice, you know, to have people there just to chat and stuff.
Okay, so I saw a hand over here and a hand over here, and then I also wanted to make a comment.
It was earlier stated a moment ago by you, Charlotte, you know, we shouldn't put this out because it's not public yet, it's not finished yet. Well, following up on Miles' point, maybe you put a big banner across and say, this is what we're talking about. You know, because this is a pretty decent document. It's not polished and we haven't all signed off on it, but it's a way to engage people. Because somebody will go, oh my God, I have to go and talk to them. You know, great.
The only problem with that in terms of process for me is that we all just agreed that this was so contentious we need to spend an entire day.
Well, that's why I'm saying put a great big banner on it and say, this is so contentious, we're still working on it. Come and join us.
Exactly.
Just on that point, is it a time conflict with the Reframe and people wanting to go to the films and the next GA?
Yeah,
Which
too
is
bad.
where you want to...
There's a conflict right now. Other people
No,
aren't
like a time conflict, I mean, a time conflict.
Yeah,
So,
there's a time conflict happening right now. There are people in Toronto.
And London.
But the next GA is 4th February.
Next Saturday.
when is the next?
Next every week.
Oh, it's
Every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you were just asking for everybody to
Yeah.
like concentrate on this and then the next one come back and talk about it,
Yeah.
the next one is during briefing,
Yeah.
is that the best time to have it?
Maybe we won't use that one as an example.
Well, no, this is an important point.
Yeah.
Next week, there's also going to be a bunch of people involved in Reframe. Is that the best week for us to have probably the most important discussion we're gonna have in terms of whether or not we continue working together?
No, it's not.
No.
So, can we do something that's kind of weird and wonky process for the minutes, but can we go back to our last discussion And maybe can I propose that 2 weeks from now, which I believe is February 4th, that on the day of that GA, we have our big philosophical discussion. But that at next week's GA, for anyone who comes, we can gather anybody's comments that are already there so that we can kind of start compiling what we do have into a cohesive idea of what the idea is being generated at. So my proposal is that we revoke our last decision, which was to have a GA focused on this next week, and that we instead, 2 weeks from now, which is the first week of February, focus primarily on this document to allow a fluidity of people also being involved in the political refrain festival next week.
Can comments be made first?
Yeah, absolutely. Questions,
I have one
clarifications?
comment to make. I think we have to consider momentum, and I think that the momentum is good for this document right now, and I think that, I don't think that, as somebody mentioned, I think you, Mark, there's always going to be something. I think we should go ahead and decide next time. I think we should have it on the agenda for our next General Assembly.
There's nothing preventing people from talking about it next, but I'm sure that a large number of people will not be there, so we won't be able to come to a decision kind of next week, I think.
Okay, maybe.
Okay, where to go from here when we're basically out of time is a fascinating thing, because we're in the point of contention right now on.
I withdraw.
On this question. No, but I think that your question of pace is very, very important. That said, unlike a sort of fixed collective where there's a certain number of people and you have a sense of how many people need to be there to make a fair decision, in a movement, coming up with what's called quorum is really hard, right? So having a sense of how big the group needs to be for a decision to legitimately pass. That said, we do have to kind of go based on what crowds we've seen before. So for instance, if we did have, process-wise, if we did have this really important meeting next week, and there were half the people that are here, I would definitely propose that our decisions are not valid or not finished or complete without a larger number of people inputting into something as big as our core philosophy.
Well, let's find out right now who can be here.
Okay, Joe's suggesting a straw poll. Who thinks they're likely to be here next Saturday?
So obviously I withdraw mine. I withdraw.
So, we are out of time. We have some questions about a number of different things. But can we just try to get down, because I'm not sure we got to that point for the notes. Are people comfortable with the proposal that our interaction with Reframe be limited to putting down some basic contact information, and then anyone who's there, who's involved in this movement, wearing your big happy heart and very gleefully talking to people about why you're part of the Occupy movement? Is that a generally acceptable proposal to people? All right. So, I think that is all we have time for right now. I think we've come to the end of our game. I think that there are some folks who will be here next week that weren't here today, and vice versa. I, as a facilitator, I will make note of what was on the agenda that we didn't get to, so that it's down for whoever's facilitating next week. One last final pitch, because I really don't want to facilitate next week, because I did this week. If anybody would like to join the facilitation committee, just let me know, it's fun. It's a lot more fun than facilitating 2 weeks from now, let me tell you.
And please talk to me after all this if you want to learn how to get connected, because there is a bunch of stuff communication's been working on, so come talk to me.
I just wanted to remind people to raise a little bit of money for the Reframe table. The jar is here. And just for those of you who may not realize this, today's event was a part of Peace Week, and there's schedules here for other really great events happening for Peace Week throughout the week. including stuff on the omnibus crime bill and Attawapiskat and conflict stuff, so please pick one up.
Real quick, if anybody wants to sign a petition after this to stop the Northern Gateway pipeline, I need 25 signatures in order for it to get to the House of Commons.
How's it? Just one more point on donations. We also have to self-fund, self-fuel being in this room today. So,
Roy covered it from donations last week.
okay,
I'm gonna have to confirm with them if they did that, but
Okay.
I'm 95% Roy took care of it.
Can we have an interim treasurer step forward until it could be voted on?
I don't think we have the process time to do that right now.
Yeah.
We really, I mean, Sadleir are awesome, they're not gonna kick us out right away, but we've rented the room for 2 hours
Yeah,
each
first
week,
thing.
which is actually a great blessing, because it'll teach us how to keep it all
Yeah.
nip and tucked.
Okay. There is a finance committee, so talk to me if you're interested in helping administer that aspect of it. Yeah, talk to me if you're interested in making stuff. Okay, cool.
Thanks for being awesome. I did.